Franny Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson with you. We took just that 30-minute break. They did. I stayed here the entire time. We're ready to go. Here's no break. Here's a look at the quarterfinal schedule. Earlier tonight, we had Toronto FC and CS Saint Laurent, League One Quebec side CS Saint Laurent. 8-1 victory for Toronto. But late in that game, Saint Laurent became the first semi-pro team to score against an MLS side. That goal meant everything to them, but Toronto FC will move on to the semi-final. We're going to be bringing you Whitecaps and Cavs Vancouver with the 2-1 lead heading into this one. CF Montreal, Forge FC. That'll be tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. ET. Their first game was a 1-1 draw. 0-0 draw between Pacific Atletico Ottawa. That will be next week, May 29th. That's the final quarterfinal leg 2 game to go, 10 p.m. ET. Halftime of that game, by the way, we are going to have the semifinal draw. There's reseeding heading into the semifinal of the Can Champ this year. Cavalry, they need 2 goals. They preferably would like not to concede. That would look better for them. But what's their mentality heading into this one?
Conceding 1 goal is fine because it doesn't really change things that much because you still need 2 goals, right? You can still send it to extra time and then go through that way. I think you got to be aggressive. You need to be brave. I think at times Cavalry in the last match against Vancouver was a little bit passive.
Yeah,
maybe didn't want
that's fair to say.
They're at home, didn't want to take the game or wasn't willing to take that many risks out of the gate. That's what happens over these 2-legged affairs. But tonight, there's a reference point, 2019. They went and scored 2 goals and knocked the Vancouver Whitecaps out of the Canadian Championship. This team, I think, has improved since that time. It's just a matter of where the goals are going to come from. Again, it's been a story all season long. Meyer Bevan left. They lack the like-for-like up top. Warshevsky and Musi starting on the bench tonight. There's certainly goals in this team, but where is that reliable source going to come from?
Yeah, I think they need to press real high and real early tonight, Wheels, and that's what Cavalry do well in the Canadian Premier League. We're going and pressing Vancouver Whitecaps at BC Place is a different story, but I think they're up for it. Speaking to Tommy Wheeldon Jr. today, is just they need to be a bit transitional, and that's if you're going to sit back, when you do go and press, there needs to be something at the end of that press, a light at the end of the tunnel, which is shots on target. I felt like they were, in the first leg, they were there, but in terms of that aggression and being calculated in front of goal, that's what was lacking. They can't have that tonight. They have to be cutthroat and make sure they put the ball in the back of their net.
When you take a look at the Vancouver Whitecaps and their schedule, and in particular just their play as well. So this month alone, I mentioned that off the top, they haven't won in league play. In fact, their only win was against Cavalry in leg 1 of the Canadian Championship. And you see just how busy they are, 9 games in 28-day span for Vancouver. So I guess the big question here is, are they vulnerable right now? Can Cavalry take advantage of this side?
I think they are. I think it's fair to say that they're a bit vulnerable. I think also, too, a word that comes to mind when I think about this team is that there's pressure. I think 2022, when they won the Voyageurs Cup and Can Champ, it was a nice little surprise, a nice little treat. Last year, they were the best side, but it was also something in the double. They were like, okay, now I'm saying they should win it. A lot of people are saying they should go and do the 3-peat, but they're the favorites to go and do that. I think now it's going and performing and to make sure they can take a rise to the occasion.
You see the graphic, only 2 goals in their last 5 MLS games. It wasn't that long ago. They beat Toronto FC convincingly at BC Place to a tune of 4-0. After that game, Vanni Sartini, we love Vanni Sartini, but came out afterwards and said, we're the best team in Canada, and it's not even really close, and we feel that some people forget about that. Well, since that time, in 7 MLS games, they've won once. And they came against Seattle Sounders, who had 2 players sent off in that game, 1 in the first half, 1 in the latter stages. That's it. They've really struggled. Fafa Picault hasn't been fully fit. Is he the answer to some of their issues in attack? I think that players like Vite need to step up and have taken notice of. Also, this downward trend, or this stagnant trend, I'll say. They haven't been bad. They just haven't been meeting their potential for me. Sam Atakubi's been unavailable, out through injury. When he was playing, he was unbelievably good for this team. So now all of a sudden you're looking at this Whitecaps team, and there's more questions than there has been in recent vintage. So is this the time to meet them? Yes. And the big factor, They have Inter Miami and the Lionel Messi show rolling to town on Saturday as well. So they're going to have to stay focused here tonight and come up with a complete effort.
And all the games that they've played, like in the past month, like, yeah.
Well, and that is the key here as we take a look now at Vancouver Whitecaps starting 11. It has been a lot of goals, games. They want to see a lot of goals. Johnson, as we saw in that first leg, was looking pretty good. We get another chance to see Ali Ahmed as we keep an eye on him as well, just as a possibility for the Canadian national team here. And we'll see, obviously, Vanni Sartini would like his team to turn things around. And really, it starts with the Canadian Championship. Pleased to have on the show Vanni Sartini, head coach Vancouver Whitecaps. And you know, Vanni, there's always a lot of excitement when Miami and Messi come to town, which is going to be the case this weekend for Vancouver. So how do you keep your team focused and in the moment for this game here tonight?
Keep the team focused, reminding them that this is the most important game of the week, because it's a game that can allow us to go to the semi-final, can allow us to go further in the competition, in a competition where in the last 2 years we won, and they've been probably the two best nights for me and the players in the last 2 years. So the only way to try to repeat that kind of emotion is try to win tonight and to qualify. So, you know, we're not thinking about Messi. For us today, Camargo is Messi. So that's no problem.
In this month of May in particular, your one win actually came in the Canadian Championship, that 2-1 victory in leg one against Cavalry. It was a strong start to the MLS season for your side. How do you describe and explain kind of what's been happening lately, and what would you like to see turn around for your team?
Yeah, a couple of things happened lately. I think a little bit of kind of being tired. A lot of games. We had 4 games on the road in a row, in back-to-back Wednesday, Saturday. In a couple of the games, I think we were a little bit unlucky in Colorado and again here at home against Austin. We could have done for sure more points. We deserve to have more points. But also we had not very good performance. Like, to be honest, the game in Los Angeles that we didn't do well. At the games in the last game in Seattle that was okay. We tied, but was just okay. We need to find again, I would say, our rhythm, especially in possession. I think that the team has always performed very well defensively and out of possession. But in possession, we lost a little bit of the fluidity, the movement of the midfielders and the wide players. So I hope that we are gonna see them again today, because they're gonna be very important in order to win this game and for the rest of the season.
Looking forward to it. Appreciate you taking the time, Vanni.
No problem. Thank you, Andy.
Vanni Sartini wanting his players to remember the last 2 years and hoisting that Voyageurs Cup. That's how much this means to him and his side. Let's take a look at some of his players, though. What about Ali Ahmed?
Yeah, no Kubas in the team tonight. He's out through injury. White Guld are both on the bench. It's the Ali Ahmed show. The young player for the Canadian Championship from a year ago. I'm curious where he's going to play.
Yeah.
On the graphic, it said inside. I think that's a role that he can do for Jesse Marsh in Canada. So. Playing inside, because they're light at that position. Obviously, Canada has all kinds of players who can play out wide. Ahmed does that expertly for this Whitecaps team as well. That's what I'm keeping an eye on, where he plays today. I have no doubt how good he's going to be here tonight.
He has those legs. He's able to press. And that's huge for Jesse Marsh in the system, however he wants to play. Levante Johnson showed 2 weeks ago that he can score with his left foot. He's also opportunist to get that second goal. But I think this is a big moment for him again tonight to just take control of the game. Naturally, Cavalry are going to go and play, and there are going to be gaps. Can he go and exploit those? And for me, it's always important for a player who's not always starting games to go and show a manager what they're made of.
There are a lot of young players, and he's just one of them. The Brampton Boanga, Levante Johnson. But Giuseppe Bovalina, it's his first start for the Whitecaps. Cyprien Cajuele, his first start for the Whitecaps. A completely new front three tonight. By the way, Camargo, we all know who the Canadian Messi really is.
I knew you were going to.
My boy Petrasso.
Yep, we remember that if you go back a couple years ago. How about we take a look now at Cavalry FC's starting 11. These are some, big names. Obviously, Tommy Wilden Jr. really wanting to get past this MLS side. And there's one player in particular on the bench who can add some much-needed energy to this Cavalry side. Joining the show now, Cavalry FC head coach Tommy Wheeldon Jr. You know, Tommy, normally we talk about players who are in your starting 11, but I actually want to ask you about a player who's available to you tonight on your bench is Ali Musi. How big of a boost is that for you to have him as an option?
Oh, absolutely. He's a game changer, and he's been relishing this one. He was gutted to not be involved in the first leg. He's done a lot of good work with our medical team to be ready for this one, and he's back sooner than expected. So he will come on. Hopefully we're in a position now where we can really go for it, and he's the kind of player that can score goals in big games.
Sometimes numbers only tell half the story, because when you look at last year, you had 1 win through 6 games. This year, you also have 1 win through 6 games. But how would you describe this year's form of your team right now?
Similar. And I think we came out of it okay. I think what we're trying to do, Andy, and the actual reality is we're trying to implement a couple of new things. Reason being is we know how to play a regular season. It is a marathon. We know we'll go through a run of form. We know when our pitch is, mid-season performance, we'll move the ball around quicker, better than most. But what we've got to do is find moments of being different when it comes to knockout games. So we're actually going through some processes now to change it so we are adaptable, so we are versatile for when the moment strikes.
Love it, and you're right. I mean, last year, regular season wasn't too shabby of an outcome for you and your side. Best of luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
Cavalry trying some new things, and it's true, right? This is a competition they want to win. We've had this discussion before when it comes to the CPL final, and Tommy's acknowledging that, trying some new things here. And he has the players to do it, and one in particular has put them in contention here tonight because he got that late goal, Jordo, and that's Malcolm Shaw.
Tommy Wheeldon Jr. said he wants to play more direct. I've played against this man. He is very strong, nicest guy off the pitch. But may I say it, a demon when he plays. Strong, able to keep people off of him. Very much a terror. This is what he needs to do tonight to the Veselinoviches, the Martins, Udvik, all those players. He needs to make sure that he gets the better of them for Cavalry to be successful.
He's such a nice guy. His entire family, they're
so nice,
wonderful people. I'm thrilled he's getting this opportunity playing in front of a very good team. The team behind him has all kinds of experience. Obviously, Marco Carducci, a former Vancouver Whitecaps player, played twice in the Canadian Championship in 2014. But what about Fraser Aird, another former Whitecap in 2016, 2017? I think he stepped up and taken his game to another level this season. He's been excellent out of the gate. His service has been wonderful. Has a couple assists already this season. It's a big shift that he's going to have to put in tonight because Vancouver love to use the play in wide areas, and he's going to have to track back a lot more. He loves to get forward and attack, and if you're looking as to how Cavalry might get it done tonight, I think that Fraser Aird's going to have a big say in that.
Yeah, great point.
Did the sour keys get to you, Jordan?
Dying. Had a cough attack. One's coming too.
We may or may not have a stash of sour keys in the building, and somebody went to town between the 2 matches. See what happens when you eat sugar so late at night? I'm going to start sounding like your mother right now.
Man.
When we return, we're going to talk more about this man, Tommy Wheeldon Jr. I bet you he does not have any sour keys, okay? He is all business here. We know a lot of talk was around him, and possibly, I mean, we know it's Jesse Marsh now, but possibly being in contention there for the Canadian national team job. Let's talk a little bit more about how he fared when we come back.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada because this journey belongs to everyone.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Sentinel Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer.
To play, It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream. It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
Apparently Jordan Wilson thinks we used to throw elbows a lot, but we used to pass the ball around as well, as he knows, because he was chasing a lot of our players. But I think I was trying to find out the real Kyle Becker. He wears a mask. Nobody really knows who the real Kyle Becker is, and I always tried to get to know people, and I just asked him, I said, listen, Kyle, you know, would you rather anything too sweet or too salty? And it didn't surprise me. He's a salty man, right?
Jimmy Brennan here from One Soccer.
Hey, Jimmy, you've
Nice
got
to
shorter.
see you. I have.
You've got to put wins on the board. We're in stage 2 of the triathlon, and we've just got to stay in the peloton.
Do you actually think that you're the underdog going into this game?
Well, according to you, it's Forge season, isn't it? So we keep receipts and we use them as opportunities to prove people wrong.
Always up for a good quote, Tommy Wheeldon Jr., and he'll call you out too. I think we all at some point got called out in that one particular press conferences. Yes, we did. But Tommy Wheeldon Jr. is quite the character. We love him here. Always gives a great interview, that's for sure. No matter if they win or if they lose, he faces the music. And we know that this is somebody who faced Canada Soccer, right? When you take a look at his resume here in the CPL, it's no wonder we talked a lot about him being a candidate. It wouldn't be surprising either for him to get an interview as well as Canada Soccer at the time. Now that they've appointed Jesse Marsh, we're in the hunt. How did he fare? What did we also hear about Tommy Wheeldon Jr.?
I heard that he was organized. I heard that he went to an interview. If you know Tommy Wheeldon Jr., even if you just meet him, there's just a certain charm about him, right? Like, obviously he knows the game, but he's likable. And dare I say it, there are coaches that aren't coachable. He's someone that is. Like, he's someone that's willing to adapt and take on new ideas and really get the best out of the group. Even look at Cavalry last season. Like, I was the one who said they're usually bronze and brass and elbows, but last year they played very good football, and that's what he's added to a team. Like, he's willing to go and adapt and put more on his squad. So for me, I think it was great that he was considered, but if you're looking at Canadian coaches or coaches that coach in the Canadian Premier League, he's one of the top.
An impressive resume, an impressive individual. If you meet Tommy Wheeldon Jr., you're impressed with his knowledge of the game, his persona. He's likable, he's humble. Like, he ticks all the boxes. And from everything that I heard about the interview process, like, the people that interviewed him were very, very impressed. And he's been in line for potential MLS jobs before. That's no secret. Yet he remains here in the Canadian Premier League, which is still, he is a massive project, which he's orchestrating. Oftentimes, though, when we're putting together forward names of these Canadian-based coaches, it's Bobby Smyrniotis first and foremost. But Tommy Wheeldon Jr.'s orchestrated the best regular season in Canadian Premier League history. And in those final games, it might be Bobby that's getting one over him. But I think those two names, Bobby and Tommy, are synonymous. And they're both going to get that next job at some point. It's a matter of when. With the Canadian Premier League, it being still so young, is still searching for credibility in certain corners. And everyone in Canadian soccer, this has been his tale as old as things have been. Canadians need to have to go on above and beyond to prove themselves. And now we're finding that in the coaching ranks as well.
And quickly, I just want to say with Tommy, his niche is moving players on, giving them the fundamentals to go on to maybe another level, whether that be MLS, whether that be abroad. That time in Calgary, it seems to work for some players. and they just go on to do bigger
Players
things.
that have moved on. They've lost big players from their program, and the team continues to evolve, not only in terms of personnel, but the way they play. Coaches have moved on. It's a real outstanding project in Calgary.
Well, he admitted it in that interview that they're trying new things because this is a team, you're right, they're always in the thick of it, but when it comes to that knockout game, when it comes to that knockout tournament, they need to address certain things in order to perform there, because when I asked them about, the 1 goal through 6 games, we know last year they ended up going on, winning the regular season title, 13 points, it was a massive gap. So they're off to the same start, they're trying new things. Maybe this year are you a little bit worried, or just how are you feeling about the start to this year?
I think that this game comes a little bit too early in the season. Like, they haven't hit their stride yet. So that's going to be my focus tonight. Whether, they haven't been bad by any means to start the season. They just haven't been as good as they were at the end of last season, which was exceptional. So I don't know if this game has come a little bit too soon.
I think it's gut check time regardless, right? I think in the Canadian Premier League, they're going to be a top 2 team and probably go on to the playoffs or the finals, whatever it may be. But these are the matches where it matters. If you can go on to the semifinal, beat Whitecaps at BC Place, this is something you build off for a season. This is something that you add from the previous season that they had, which was exceptional. So this is their moment tonight.
All right, well, they're going to have some ground to make up. Vancouver does take the 2-1 lead into leg 2. And as we take a look at match week 7 in the CPL, Cavalry will actually be our match of the week. That's on Sunday, 5 p.m. ET. They're taking on Valor, who's coming off their first victory of the season. And then now we know York United right now has Mauro Eustachio as their interim head coach. Today, relieving Martin Nash of his head coaching duties. So things are moving and shaking in the CPL world. Stay right here on One Soccer for all the news, updates, and highlights. Well, we know that Cavalry FC made history in the Canadian Championship when they became the first CPL side to defeat an MLS side. They did it against Vancouver Whitecaps in 2019. You know they want history to repeat itself.
Would you like the extended warranty for $150?
Go ad-free for $29.99.
Only 3 easy payments of $49.99 if you act now.
We make thousands of financial decisions every day. Each one affects bigger decisions tomorrow. Stay on top of it all with the CIBC Smart Account.
Do we really have any choice at all? Everyone has a choice, and every choice has a consequence.
Which do you choose?
Life's full of tough choices, isn't it?
How do you choose?
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Sentinel Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles. And fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate without breaking the bank? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of ultimate chicken sausages and hot dogs. Choose ultimate taste and value, only from Maple Lodge Farms.
This is the 3rd time Cavalry and Vancouver are meeting in the Canadian Championship. 2019 went the way of Cavalry. That was history being made. In 2022, Vancouver defeated Cavalry in penalties. And one snarky comment that did not make that wonderful quote pack from Tommy Wheeldon Jr. was after that match, he said an MLS side still has yet to defeat us in regulation.
Wasn't lying.
That's true. He wasn't lying at that time, right? So there you go. So who's going to break the tie here tonight? But both of you kind of seem to be in agreement that you think it might be a little too soon for Cavalry, this match coming on up. But at the same time, Vancouver does appear to be vulnerable. Which way are you leaning?
I think Cavalry have to take it to Vancouver Whitecaps tonight. Yeah, of course, you could talk about the vulnerability of the Whitecaps, but Cavalry, they had me believing last season. 13 points they won the Canadian Premier League Shield with. They were unplayable at times. Bring that into this type of football. Bring that into a team where you play MLS. I'm not asking you to dominate the whole match. Score the 2 goals. Make this a spicy affair. These are the nights you remember.
This starting 11 for the Whitecaps tonight will not scare Tommy Wheeldon Jr. I use that as my motivation. Like a front three of Johnson, Kajwale from Whitecaps 2, and Bovalina in his first start at 19. Like, other than Veselinovic and Laborda at the back, like, a lot of rotation here. Based on the team that Vinny Sertini's playing tonight, Cavalry should really consider themselves right in this tie. 1 goal, make them think about it, go on and get another in the second half. The blueprint is there.
Yep, the fans are ready for this one, and it really does feel like it can still be anybody's game. Not exactly a huge margin of victory for Vancouver. You'd wonder the feeling would be different if Malcolm Shaw hadn't scored that late game. But I guess that's the thing in two-legged ties here.
And Andy, the way that they scored both of those goals, that's what's crazy. It's just 2 long balls, aimless balls hit forward that Levante Johnson took full advantage of, and full credit to him. But Cavalry were in that game, and again, if White and Gold have to come off the bench in the second half and put in a real shift, that won't be going to plan for the Whitecaps whatsoever.
All right, here we go. It's leg 2 quarterfinal TELUS Canadian Championship between Cavalry FC, Vancouver Whitecaps. We lost a guy. Yeah. He's just, I don't know, man. He's just coughing away on those sour keys.
Maybe he ate something. That's what Danny said. Hey, Jordan, what did you eat?
You got a little, yeah, he's got a little agito.
Bye, Jordan.
Digestivo. Peace out, Jordan.
Peace out.
The TELUS Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Toyota.
Toyota's electrified vehicles are for everyone. Every chauffeur, snack connoisseur, every scenery soaker, practical joker, every road tripper, toe dipper, every 9-to-5er, every long driver. Starting over 20 years ago with the Prius, we now have the largest lineup of electrified vehicles in Canada, because this journey belongs to everyone.
The TELUS Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by CIBC.
CanadaSoccerStore.com is the official home for the widest range of Canada Soccer licensed product, match jerseys, and fanwear.
From the edge of your seat or up on your feet, let them hear you cheer.
The TELUS Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Allstate.